are you working on recently?
Wow, we've had so much great music come through our building. Everybody from Beyonce to Gaga to Pink to Robin Thicke are all working upstairs in our mix room. And down here we've been working on a lot of hip-hop music with Cash Money artists like Tyga and Glasses Malone and Lil Wayne and Warren G, old school, new school. Also, we develop a ton of new artists in addition to the classic big songs that I've written for Madonna and Britney Spears and Elton John. We're constantly developing young, fresh talent, both in Asia and in America.
Are you working with any K-pop artists right now?
The last thing I worked on was Brown Eyed Girls.
Okay.
And recently I just did a song for Angela Chang in China. We also worked in Singapore and Malaysia and different other territories. Sun was a big artist for us from Singapore. And we're always in contact with Korean labels. Suman Lee from SM is a good friend. So I try to stay in contact and keep track of whatever is going on over there. But I'm always interested in new opportunities. So please, everybody, know that I'd love to find out more and help.
Definitely. How did you gain interest in working with the Asian companies out in Asia?
It's a great story. So when I was a bit younger, I had just started expanding my business in studios, and I was very fortunate to have some Korean interns, and we tried to understand why there was not more synergy between America and Asia, and it turns out that a lot of the American companies they had offices in Korea, but they weren't really active there. So I sent these kids over to Korea, and they met with all the locals. And the moment we started connecting with the local Korean companies, it blew up, and it was fabulous. And I went over there a few times, and I spoke at the Blue House, and I was lucky enough to do a few tours and be on television and perform as a singer and writer, and also to represent this beautiful future of technology and media between America and Korea. And from there, everybody knew who I was very quickly. I was signing autographs, you know, in Koreatown and in these places that were very old towns, you know. Everybody found out who I was, and it was so exciting to be very famous there very quickly. From there, we started working with many artists. At that time, Shinhwa, G.O.G., a lot of SM, Yedong artists, and it just grew and grew and grew to even some of the smaller, newer labels. It's great.
So you would just mostly be producing the albums?
You know, I was writing. Writing and producing, and what was very interesting was to work with artists who didn't speak a lot of English. And I would learn how to sing the songs I wrote, translated into Korean. So even though I didn't speak Korean well, I could produce and coach the singers on the style of singing in their own Korean language.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And was Brown Eyed Girls one case?
Well, Brown Eyed Girls, actually, it worked the reverse. They came to me and asked me to create the English version of the song. So in the early days, it was always me bringing American written songs and productions to Korea, and then as we became more successful, we were able to help launch Asian artists through Billboard magazine in America. And suddenly they were so excited, you know, to have a hit in America is a big deal for a Korean or any Asian artist. And when we hit Billboard #1 with Sun Yi Hao, it was history. the head of Universal called me and said, "How did you do this? We're a big company, and we've never been able to have an Asian artist go to #1 in America." And I said, "Well, most Americans don't understand Asian culture. They don't take the time and the patience to really to grasp and understand how other countries think, what they like, what they do, what works and what doesn't work." And I'm a patient man, and I spent a lot of time there, and over 10 or 15 years, I feel like we've helped Korea to become an international success. I mean, this is long before the K-pop explosion. These were early days where, Japan, which has had so many centuries of war with Korea, started to embrace Korean music. This was an exceptionally touching thing for me. It was an honor to be a part of creating music which broke down the walls between Japan and Korea, and kids today love each other because of this music. That was a big step.
And how was it first dipping into Korean culture? What was it like?
It was amazing. I mean, the women are spectacularly beautiful. The guys love to have fun. It took me an immense adjustment to their style of doing business. I would go to Korea and be treated like a king. It was remarkable. And for, say, 10 days at a time, we would spend the first 8 days really socializing and touring and learning and going to meetings and introductions. But it wasn't until the end of the trip, the very end of the trip, right before going to the airport, that any deals or business would be done. In America, everybody's in such a hurry to make money and to try to close a deal. There, it was much more about a relationship and how to get to know somebody and to trust them and to see what kind of interaction you have before business. I like that.
And do you have any favorite K-pop artists that come to mind?
Well,
I know you can't pick favorites.
It's hard to say. I mean, I've worked with many of them. I always had a crush on Hyori, but now she's married. Congratulations. But everybody who's doing well, a lot of the SM artists, some of which I've worked with, of course, Boa really led the way and really helped open up the market. But I mean, PM21, Girls' Generation, Grace, all of the groups that have started to cross over have done very, very well. I'm just mostly happy that thanks to Gangnam Style, that most Americans and really around the world now are aware of K-pop, and that is starting to now influence American music more. It's funny, it was always the other way around, and now we hear songs that really sound like they've been made in Korea and are hits in America. Very exciting.
And who was the last celebrity you saw or worked with in person?
Well, Jack Nicholson is my godfather. Yesterday was his birthday, and I was lucky enough to spend a little bit of time speaking with him. He's kind of like family, but he's a movie star, and I come from a family that has been pioneering in the movie business. I'm the first musician in my family professionally. But, everybody from will.i.am to Beyonce has been here recently. I try to be very respectful and treat famous people just like I would a complete stranger, and It makes them very human and relaxed, and they don't feel like they have to be anybody other than who they are in real life. And that makes it very easy to be around famous people and for them to feel comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
And was Brown Eyed Girls the last K-pop artist that you saw?
Yes, Brown Eyed Girls was the last thing that I worked on. Angela Chang in China is most recent. But I've just actually been writing some new songs, which I can't say yet who's going to be doing them, but
it is a K-pop artist?
Yes, I'm very excited. Very excited. I always love that. I actually have a website that is Rafelson, my last name, Rafelson.com/Asia,
Oh, yes,
and that's got a list of all of the Asian artists that I've worked with, most of which are Korean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any like particular K-pop artists that you would like to work with?
You know, it would be fun to do something for 21. It would be something. I would love to work with Girls' Generation. I love discovering new artists that are. It's an interesting thing about Korea because the artists that are the most successful are very quickly famous and then disappear pretty soon. 3 albums is a long career in Korea, you know.
Right.
So the trick for me is to pay attention to the new artists that are coming along and the new labels and the new management, and to try to be involved in the beginning of their careers. That's how we had success with Boa, and we were able to be involved as she grew internationally. So I'm very open. I try to stay open.
What's your favorite Korean food?
I love bibimbap. I love bulgogi. I love to make Korean food, but I also love to eat Korean food. I'm a bit of a chef and a cook, and I love to go to the new restaurants, but nothing is as good as when you're in Korea. There's some good Korean restaurants here, but the food in Korea was probably one of my favorite parts of being there. And I look forward to our next meal in Korea.
Definitely. Alright, well, thank you so much, Peter, for the interview and meeting with us.
Thank you so much, and I just wanted to say hi to everybody in Korea, and let's all be in touch.
Okay. Can you actually give us a quick shout out to we actually have a new website called Kpopbuddy.com.
Kpop Buddy.
And this is our website where we're gonna be launching the latest like K-pop news, Korean food, what's going around in Koreatown.
How about if I say Kpop Buddy 좋다.
사랑해요.
예술이지 Kpop Buddy 안녕 계세요.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you so much, Peter.
Nice to meet you.
It was such a pleasure meeting you.
Come back anytime.
Definitely. We'll definitely have a meal in Koreatown.
I would love that. I would just love that.